Hi, and thank you for joining me for my latest process video. And I honestly feel like saying thank you for joining me while I create a load of mixed media and then cover it all up, because that's the story of my life at the moment. So I really thought I'd done enough, but you'll see at the end a lot of this does get covered up. I did struggle with this video a little bit, and I think it's because I was trying to scrap two 4x4 photos, and that takes up a lot of space on the page, so it doesn't really give room for much else, and I think that's where I struggled. So these are two photos that we took at Coney Island. We were on the boardwalk, so I took a picture of the four of us, of our feet, and then one of the boardwalk going off into the distance. It's an absolutely beautiful boardwalk. I'm so pleased that we went to see it. So here I've just got some plain white cardstock. This is our smooth heavyweight cardstock that I sell at Hey Little Magpie, and I'm just using a blue ink. I wish I could remember which one it was. It's somewhere on my desk, but I think everything's covered up. It's a bit of a mess. It is Blueprint Sketch. And you saw I watered it down, and then I've used the packaging technique to smush that across the middle of the page. I then came in with a Vibes called Blue Jeans. I splattered that over and then decided to smush that into the cardstock as well, just really to help dry it up and also to blend those dots in a little bit. But I wasn't finished there. Once that's done, I'm going to come in with some water and just flick what's left of the Blueprint Sketch around the edges of the page, just to try and fade out that harsh line a little bit. And then I'm going to come in with weathered wood and this beautiful stencil from Vicky Booton, and just add a little bit of stenciling to the right of the centre, in almost like a triangle pattern, because I do it top and bottom, and then I move the stencil across to the left and add a little bit to the left hand side there as well. So just using one of the blending brushes that we sell at Hey Little Magpie here to blend that ink through the stencil very easily. It's a nice big brush, so it goes on with ease. And that's the stenciling done. Then I'm going to come in with one of the Hey Little Magpie stamps. It's the script stamp, and I will add that in a second. I'm just going to map both of the photos with white cardstock. I definitely wanted to have that, so I thought, well, I'm just waiting for this background to dry a little bit more. I'll mat these in the white cardstock before I carry on. So just using my big scissors to trim a narrow border onto each of those photos. Almost there. And these scissors, I've been using them to cut stickers. Blades keep getting stuck together. I need to get some alcohol on them so I can get rid of that stickiness. So there are the two photos, and here's that script stamp that I was mentioning, and I come in with black soot for this, and you can see I'm just rolling up the edges of the stamp and then just stamping it roughly around the edges of that ink. I know that most of that is going to be covered up by the photos and the strips of papers that I'm going to add, so I don't want to waste too much time stamping. And then I bring in the stitches stamp from Hey Little Magpie, and I'm just going to add these along the edges. I want to put strips of paper down the centre, so I just want these to peek out beyond those strips of paper. So I've just grabbed this one stamp. I couldn't be bothered changing, quite frankly, so I'm just moving the orientation of this stamp so that it looks different on the different parts. And I do like this one because it's not a straight line, it is a bit wiggly, so it creates a bit of movement to the page, as if I'd gone free motion with my sewing machine. So bringing the photos back in again, just to check that I've stamped far enough off to the left and right, and that the mixed media is going to be seen. And then I'm going to come in with my Tim Holtz crayons, the watercolour crayons, just the black soot, just to add a few more splatters of black around the place. So I'm not quite sure exactly what shape I want to create this layout in. It looks like I'm going for a horizontal, but I do also have that stenciling to the right, which brings the eye up and down a little bit. So I pulled out my blue and green scraps again, and that's what I'm going to use to create 5 strips across the centre of the page horizontally. So I'm cutting them to 9 inches by 1.5 inch, and I'm just going to cut the 5 strips first of all, and then I'll position the top and bottom strips so that I've got an idea of where they're going to go, check that the photos fit on those mats, and then carry on. So I've tried to pull out the the cool blue tones, but some of them I have gone into the greens as well, but I really like that very, very cool blue, like the sky in the picture, and of course the background that I've created. So you can see it's a variety of papers from a variety of manufacturers. I do lean heavy on the 49er Market for these strips, not quite sure why. I think it just happened that they had the right tones that I was looking for. This strip gave me a bit of trouble because of that butterfly, but in fact I'm looking at the layout now and you can't see it. So last piece here, this is a Sles Gonzalo paper from Rainbow Ave. So just using that blue as well to go at the bottom. So that's quite similar to the piece that's at the top. So I'll position those two, as I say, first of all, and then I can check that they go above and below the photos before I carry on laying down the other strips. So I am going to distress all the edges using my Tim Holtz edge distresser as well, and I am going to curl up the long edges, so almost create a crease down the centre of each of the papers just to create a bit of texture and movement on the page. So I'm just adding the adhesive down the centre of each of the strips. You can see there. So this is the 5th strip going down, and you can see some I've overlapped on top and some are underneath just to create interest. But as I say, this just about all gets covered up, which is very frustrating. I wish that I'd been a bit more minimalistic on this layout and not covered all the bits up. But there we go. So this is Summer Porch from 49er Market. I've just got the ephemera pieces. So I'm just having a look through to see if I can create some layers on the photos. But in the end, I decide I don't really want to do that because I don't want to add too much to them, and I didn't want to bring any more pattern papers in. So I'm just going to use my Sticks 2 foam pads, the 25mm ones that come on a roll, just to stick those 2 photos down. It provides a bit of dimension. And then I'm coming in with my black gel pen. This seems to be my favourite thing to do at the moment, and just adding some faux stitching across the top of these. I've already got the stitching in the background, but I just felt it wasn't enough, so I'm just adding a few lines, and then at the very end of the video I will come back in with that black gel pen and add dots all the way along those lines, so it looks like where the sewing machine needle would go into the paper if it were a real stitched line. So I'm just going through these ephemera pieces to see what I can find. I've also pulled in the Inkwell tickets from 49er Market, the Ticklet Essentials. I just think this blue, this dark blue, goes really nicely with these photos. So just adding a few of those strips to the sides and some of the labels that are in the collection. And then I pull out a few of the wordy bits as well. I've got more Beach Please in that blue piece, and then the other one above says Beach Day. So that fits in really nicely. And then some of the stamps, of course, as well from those Ticket Essentials. So I'm just going to get these bits glued down. I'm still feeling a little bit lost. I'm not quite sure what to do. But this is where I'm getting frustrated with myself watching the video, because I've covered up all those lovely papers that I've got in the background, the strips that I put down and carefully offset against one another. And then they're just all being covered up by these bits that I'm tucking around the photos. I think these would have been much better with hindsight as 3x3 photos. Probably should have gone in and reprinted them, but I'm a bit lazy and also hate waste, so because I printed them at this size I really wanted to make it work. So I'm just going to slide that word phrase along a bit. I wanted it to line up more or less with the Beach Day piece above. I'm thinking about using this book plate one, but it doesn't work. This little strip is just from one of the envelope pieces that come in the ephemera pack. I'd torn it off previously to use the bit as a mat, so I'm just trying to get these 2 little bits added in here. They're just really nice texture and colour to be added to around the page. So I've managed to get those 2 in, and then I found this lovely word that says beachy, so I'm going to use that at the bottom. I will add another word phrase underneath it, but I just really liked the difference that added to the layout rather than it being just a straight horizontal line. So then I found this little frame. It had a heart in it, but I like the diagonal lines that it has, the navy blue, so I just wanted to add that as a little layering piece. And then I found this tag, so I just cut it down so that I can tuck the top bit in there, and then I do find another one to go next to it. I'm playing with this piece, but I definitely want another tag there, so I move that out the way. So here's the second one that I find. Again, cutting that bottom piece off because there's no point in using that. I just have to pull everything up to get it stuck down. And then, of course, a lovely tab to add to the top so that I can add my date. So just gluing that in place. And then I will bring that piece of tag down to the bottom right there, just for a bit of interest. I like the text that it had on it, so I'm just tucking that in there. And another label here. And I'm slowly building up that shape at the top there. I've got this lovely blue ribbon that came on some flowers recently, so I'm using a little bit of that for my ribbon loop on the left hand side. And then some enamel dots. These are just from my drawer. I'm now going through my drawer and looking for some older bits to add to this page, per my campaign really, to use up some of my older stash. So I'm trying to make a concerted effort to go into that drawer and pull bits out. I then found this little blue heart. It's from an old Chanel collection that worked nicely, so I'm adding that. And then these are the Tim Holtz, I think it's called Small Talk words. So there's that piece at the top that says stay curious, so I've just added that to that photo. And then the one underneath the word beachy says go where your heart takes you. So I added that because this was it was kind of on our list to go to Coney Island, but it wasn't a must do. So when Amelia suggested let's go, I was really pleased because I did want to go and see it. So just writing the date on that label this time. I couldn't be bothered to faff about with my roller date stamp. And then these are some old Jen Hadfield stickers, and there was one that says sunshine and smiles, and it was a beautiful sunny day, so I wanted to add that to the top. So just coming in with some blue wax twine, and I've threaded it through the first tag, and then I'm threading one of the tails back to the front and then the other tail front to back on that second tag, just to create some interest. It also holds it in place a little bit easier when you do that. And then I'm just going to use my tiny attacher from Tim Holtz to staple those tails at the bottom. And I like the movement that that creates, having those nice long tails trailing down the left-hand side. So these are some black hole reinforcers that I've punched out using my We Are Memory Keepers punch. I've got a stack of them now on my desk, so rather than having to watch me punch them each time, I've got them there ready to use. So I'm just sticking down 5 of those. I started with 4, but then decided I definitely wanted a 5th. And then I'm sprinkling on some blue sequins that were the mix that were in our January embellishment kit at Hey Little Magpie. It's just a gorgeous mix of blues and whites, so I wanted to add some of those. I thought they would work really nicely with this layout. So you can see I'm slowly bringing in a diagonal line from top right to bottom left. I'm just adding one of James's JD3D print seagulls there at the very top. And then I'm going to come in with some more splatters. So I start with the chipped sapphire, and I will bring in some black soot as well, just to make it darker. And I use a small brush, and this provides some really fine splatters. So I'm going to continue with that diagonal line, so adding them to the top right and bottom left. And that really accentuates that for me. And then just coming in, as I mentioned, with my black gel pen to add those dots. And that's the layout done. So let me know what you think. It's not my favourite. I do like it. It's definitely going in the album, but it's another event documented, I suppose. Thank you so much for joining me. See you soon. Bye.